Kick-Ass Switch, putting the K in magic. I'm Joanna DeVoe, and you're watching another Every Which Way interview. I'm so honored to get to present to you Mimi Kirk, one of my personal role models, and the author of Live Raw, my favorite cookbook. She is such an inspiration. I know you guys are gonna love her. So I'm just gonna stop flapping my gums right now and present you all with the lovely Mimi Kirk. Hi Mimi, welcome to Every Which Way.
Thank you.
You look like $1,000,000.
I feel like $1,000,000. That's
I know. You talk about that. That's why I love you so much. This is such an honor getting to talk to you today. Thank you for doing this.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
I have to show you my all-time favorite cookbook.
Oh, yay!
I love this. I love this. I've talked about it on YouTube.
Oh, thank you.
It's so beautiful. It could be a coffee table book.
I know. Just the pictures make you hungry, right?
Yes, and for the viewers who don't know, this is Live Raw, Raw Food Recipes for Good Health and Timeless Beauty by Mimi Kirk. And it's gorgeous, and the recipes are simple. Not too many ingredients, easy to reproduce. Can you tell us a little bit about your cookbook and how that came to be?
Well, I never thought of writing a cookbook because I'm the kind of cook who uncook or cook, whichever the case may be, where I just don't measure. I just throw everything in. And I'm definitely a foodie. I love really good food. That's what really helps me stay on a raw food path because I can make anything I want. I know how to translate almost any recipe I loved before and get the same kind of feeling and taste of that. So I was not even planning on writing a cookbook until my Facebook friends kept saying, I kept posting recipes and they say, why don't you write a book? Why don't you write a book? So then I thought, well, maybe I should put these recipes in. But then, of course, I had to go back and measure everything and try it and make sure that when I put it in the book that it was going to work. That's
well,
how
as a foodie, that probably didn't hurt your feelings too much.
No. And my poor boyfriend, by the way, who took all the photographs for the book, which are spectacular, the guy had to eat everything.
Aww.
He was everything untested. So
that was my next question. Who did the photography? He did a beautiful job.
I know even the publisher said that's some of the best food photography they had seen. And he's not a professional, or he wasn't a professional photographer before that, but he's just done, I thought it's just absolutely amazing. Everybody really loved his photographs in there, and he was very happy with them. Yeah, but you know, it's not easy doing a cookbook. It's easy to write a book. Well, not easy, but it's much easier. But a cookbook, you do have to test everything. And then taking photos is a whole other art in itself if you're going to do a book.
Yeah, the styling was beautiful too. You used like a Moroccan glass. I mean, it all just looks so appealing, and it is. If you try the recipes, it's as delicious as it looks. So
they're really good. And I'm very visual. Mm-hmm. So the way the food is plated is important to me also. That was one of the things. I love to see food on a plate look good, and if you're going to try to intrigue anybody to eat raw food, you have to make it look normal.
Yeah.
It's so funny, in old days of brown rice and lentils, when we were vegetarians or early in the 70s, nothing was colorful, really, because we were thinking of grains and stuff like that. We really didn't think about colorful food, but today, raw food, it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, and your book makes it accessible for more people because I live in LA and I know that I am spoiled rotten with raw food restaurants. We get the presentation. We get to try all the different foods here, and there's more than one. We have several. But people often write to me to say, but I live in Idaho, or, you know, I live in Germany, and we don't have this here. And I think that if they buy your book, they're going to be pleasantly surprised at how simple it is to make the recipes and create that for themselves at home.
We've been shipping all over the world. We shipped to Croatia. We shipped to little islands on Cyprus. We're like everywhere. It's so unbelievable to me. I'm astounded, really. Since I won that title,
Sexiest Vegetarian over 50.
And I was 70, I think just before my 71st birthday. It was like 2 weeks before my 71st birthday.
Wow.
I had no idea. My Facebook just blew up. My popularity just grew. And I think it's because as we age, a woman, and we start to see little lines on our face, we start to panic. Women going through the change of life, menopause, they start to panic, thinking it's all over. And so to see somebody in my age bracket who feels very young and who is full of energy and looks good for my age, I think that's very inspiring to people.
You
And
look
all
good for any age. And you're 73 now, is that right?
September.
Ooh, are you a Libra?
I am.
Oh, me too. You have a
You
very
are?
Libra equality about you, that being very visual and creative and
No, that's
gorgeous.
it. It makes me very happy because it's really my passion to help people eat better, but I'm not a pushy person. I don't push it down people's throat. I think people are all different. Just because I eat all raw, 99%, it doesn't mean that's right for everybody. I think you have to eat 75 to 80 really to get benefits. But if you do that, great. If you can't do that, do something.
Right.
Just cut out something. Stop eating processed food and eat fresh food. There's always some step you can take if you're not ready to do this. But what I like about my book and what I think is so great is that you can take one recipe that you like, adapt one recipe, and exchange like your gluten pasta, your pasta dishes, flour and water dishes, to zucchini, and it tastes as good.
I do that
feed
all
it
the
to everybody.
time, yes.
Yeah, it's one of the most popular things, I think, and easy to make. And the lasagna is the same way. It's just an amazing thing with layered cheese and sauce and everything. So I think that anybody can do this, anybody who wants to improve their health. And here's the thing. If you see something, even though genes are only less than 25% of how well and how long we live, how well we age and how long we live, it's all up to you. And if you see family members have something, like my family members have everything, cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, you name it, the family's had it.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to go the way of the rest of my family. And so I have accomplished what I set out to do. And I consider myself an experiment. So stay tuned, ladies. When I'm in my 80s and 90s, I can be helping you through to tell you what I've done. But that's the way I see it. I've experimented and I've been very successful at what I've been doing with raw food. So it makes me very happy to feel this good, and that I've been able to inspire other people to take their health in their own hands and to love themselves wherever they're at. I don't care if you have too much weight on or you've got wrinkles or who cares. Yeah. It's how you feel inside and the kind of person, the human being you are. That's what's really important.
I love that you talk about that in your book, too. The beginning of the book it's not just about raw foods. You really emphasize the power of self-love, the importance of self-love. You talk about celebrating your birthday for an entire month instead of just a day. You talk about your relationship, which is very special and unusual in today's day and age, where there's just that cliche of the, middle-aged man leaving his wife for an 18-year-old girlfriend, where you're a woman in her 70s who has an almost 20 years younger boyfriend, correct? Right. And a great business partner.
Lucky me. I really met a wonderful man. And by the way, for anybody who's stuck, I met him online.
Oh.
just for to let people know, because where am I going? I was running a business from home. I live here in San Diego. I'm running my business from home. I'm not going to bars. I'm not going out to places where I can meet people. And I was serious. I love a relationship. And I thought, there's got to be somebody nice out there. I'm going to go look. So there must be other people like me. And I did date for quite some time online. I met very nice men, but we all know chemistry's chemistry. And when we met, he didn't know my age. He was 45. I was 64. That sounds like a giant difference in there, really. I mean, there's some ages where it doesn't sound as bad, and there's others where it sounds like, oh, my God. I didn't feel I was robbing the cradle, but I was a little nervous that he was so young. And I didn't tell him my age for a long time, but by that time he loved me and it was too late. So there's nothing he couldn't turn back. That was it. And we've been together almost 10 years now.
Yay. Congratulations.
We're matched. That's all I can say. We're matched. We're both so much alike in so many ways. And he was a regular eater, regular standard American diet eater. I decided to push it on him at all. In fact, when we first met, I cooked him everything he wanted. We both gained weight. And then when I went raw, he was very supportive of it, but it wasn't something he was interested in. And then he would taste the food. I started out with desserts, and he loved them. And then he tried a green drink, and the first one he didn't like, and the next one he said, I'll try it one more time. And then now he asks for one every day. Oh. He's a vegan.
Nice.
And and he eats mostly raw, but I fix him cooked vegan food. Quinoa and beans and chili and things like that. But I mean, I didn't try to make him do it, and I don't think people should try to push this on anyone. You're an example. If people see that you are full of energy and you're feeling great and everything looks like it's working for you, they want to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So people will ask. So you have to be an example. You can't try to have talk somebody else into something.
Yeah, you're one of my favorite examples, actually. I use you as an example a lot. It's not just about the way you look. I am extremely inspired by the fact that you've never had a facelift and you look so gorgeous, but it's also a vitality, an interest in life. You're an entrepreneur. You're very passionate about food. You seem to love your relationship. You talk about it in a very glowing way. And I just think that's even more important than the exterior, is just
Right.
that loving life kind of thing, you know. I mean, I think for me, I started being afraid. I was in Hollywood. I started fearing age at 23. And then at 27, I was like, I better do something about this. And I started consciously seeking out older role models. And I'm glad I did, because I'm 38 now and 40's approaching. And now I've got, my little bucket of women I can look up to and be like, look at Jane Fonda, or look at Gloria Steinem, or Mimi Kirk. They're doing great.
Well, in LA, particularly where you are, there's lots of face work. Girls very early are starting Botox. People in the industry, they're worried about roles, so they get themselves a face job to look younger. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't, it's not really good, and it's off-putting to me. First of all, because I'm not sure how healthy it is or what happens down the line. Do you have to keep doing them? Yes, I see women I've known who've done them in the film industry for years, and they keep doing them. Your face is going to age even after plastic surgery, so you're constantly doing that. I don't know. I don't want to add a few more years to my life unless they're healthy, and I don't care if I don't look as good in my later years. It's really how I feel, because let's face it, you get up in the morning, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, you do whatever little eyebrow stuff, whatever you need. And the rest of the day, you don't really look at yourself if somebody else is looking at you, but you go on how you feel inside. So it's important to me how I feel inside rather than how I look. I mean, obviously I color my hair because I don't really care I'm salt and pepper. My hair's naturally very dark, by the way.
Oh, you're a great blonde.
Yeah, everybody thinks I made a good blonde, I guess,
do.
because everybody's a blonde. But I'm salt and pepper, and I just don't care for the hair right now. Although I do love it on other people. I think gray hair's gorgeous, a good cut, and looks gorgeous on so many women, especially New York. They're so stylish, and they've got their natural hair. It's beautiful, and maybe someday I'll do that. But right now, I'm having fun. I feel very playful, and I feel very young, and my spirit is very good. And like you mentioned, I'm very passionate about life.
Yes.
I have two sisters a little older than me, one a bit older than me. She's 87. My other sister is 2.5 years older than me. They're not interested in health at all. They both had cancer. They both take lots of pills. And so I see for myself that what I'm doing is working. I have something to model myself after.
Yes.
And my oldest sister is in a senior home, and every time I go there, I look at people who are my age walking with walkers.
Wow.
And then a lot of older people. And if you want to take care of yourself, go to an elderly home and look at people.
Mm-hmm. You don't even have to. I mean, people are getting elderly younger and younger and younger. Diabetes and cancer. So many autoimmune disorders.
Oh, yeah.
And ADD, things like that. They're just happening.
And we know why, right? It's processed food.
And chemicals.
And if you look at what's in food, it is chemical and processed. I do a lot of lectures on processed food because I think it's important to let people know what they're eating. They don't want to. When they're at the market, they don't look at the back of the package. I see people shopping and they've got their list and they just throw the stuff in the basket. And my mouth drops sometimes when someone's checking out in front of me and there isn't one thing in there that's real food. Yeah, that's edible to me. It's not real food. It's all chemical.
Yeah.
They might as well just eat the packaging if they want a little roughage, because that's all they're going to get from it, except they're getting the bad chemicals. 80% of our food has MSG. It's called by different names: tapioca starch, vegetable starch, citric acid. It's got all kinds of names. Manufacturers will put anything on the box to get us to buy their food. The more hype that is that it's healthy and low fat and less sugar, that means they've got more chemicals in there because they want to make it taste good so you come back and buy that product again. And so I think that's why we're having all this problem. And a study just came out that in the next 10 years or whatever it is, 42% there's going to be 42% of the population that's obese.
Wow.
It's growing instead of minimizing with all we know today. It's growing.
And it's unfortunate because the media is owned by corporations who own, big agriculture and big pharma. All of it is intertwined. So it's great that we have the internet where we can get different sources of information. But for someone that's getting all their information from the TV, they have doctors that are promoting, go eat these super processed lean sliced turkey slices, and these crackers, these processed packaged crackers, and it's confusing. It's really not even their faults in a way.
Well, if you give children alcohol or cigarettes, it's against the law, but they allow MSG in their food and chemicals in their food and dyes and coloring. It's kind of beyond me, really, when I think about it, that they don't look at that.
And
but
in the water.
And in everything.
Yeah.
But really, all the flavoring. There's a box of cereal that says blueberry cereal. It's chemical. There's no blueberries in it. Mm-hmm. Betty Crocker has a carrot cake. It's carrotless. Yeah. It's made with corn syrup and chemicals and all of that stuff. So, I just think people have to wake up. And the more of us who are out there talking about it, it's on mainstream television all the time now. That's one thing I see. Oh, everybody, Dr. Oz, the doctors, Katie Kirk just did a special on processed food. It's definitely being talked about more than ever before, and it's moving faster. I was a vegetarian in the early 70s. Very hard to find anything. No one knew what was going on. I was concerned about the environment. I was taking my paper bags and boxes to get my groceries. I didn't know canvas bags at the time, but I was doing that after the first Earth Day. It was very difficult. It took a long time for vegetarians to get in the picture, in the frame. Then it was the vegans, and then that sounded like, some disease or something. No, like that. When you say vegan, it's like, they already were going like this, that you were some crazy person, and now raw foods move really fast. Look at, like you said, all those gourmet restaurants that are out there serving raw food. There's actual restaurants for it so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, raw food's been around for a long time, but it hit a point and then it just zoomed. And I just think it's plant-based diet, Meatless Monday, all the kinds of things that are in mainstream. I did an interview with Huffington Post. I mean, mainstream places are, and I was on doctors. So people are concerned and people do care. And, it's particularly for anyone who has children, how important it is, because the little kids pick up stuff faster in their system than we do even. And so that's why all this attention deficit disorder and brain dysfunction and retinal degeneration and all of that stuff happens from processed food. If someone didn't eat raw and they just stopped eating processed food, they would be way ahead of the game. That's how simple that's simple. It's just to say, don't grab that bag, that pouch, that can. If you want to, read what's in it. If you don't know what it says, put it back, go home and look it up. You'll find out what it is. You'll be so shocked, really, of what's in our food.
And you are a mom. You've got 4 kids.
4 and yes. 7 grandkids.
And you made them go vegan or vegetarian when they were still at home and they didn't mind, you say.
I did.
And you had them meditating.
Yes, they were very little, and I was driving home. I was driving back to work. I stood in for I was Mary Tyler Moore's stand-in, and I went out and picked up her lunch, and I got myself a little lunch, and it was sliced rare roast beef and something else, and I was hungry, so in the car, reached over to open up the package and take a bite, and I thought I bit the back of my hand. It was flesh. Oh. I never got that connection for some reason. It was like I looked at my hand because I thought I bit it, and then it was like, oh my God, and then I could smell something I never smelled before in the meat. Mm-hmm. Now, I really think because I was meditating at the time, and it's such a conscious raising situation to meditate, you get connected to everything on the planet, not only yourself, but you get connected and see how everything fits in like a little puzzle, and there it was right in front of me, that this animal was alive and part of not raised to be food. I mean, that's what they raised them for, but that's not what they're here for, in my mind. Some people think that's why they're here, is because God put them here for us to eat. But we don't need to kill to eat. we can eat plants. And I know they're alive, and everyone says you're pulling a carrot out of the ground, but really we don't need to torture animals. And that's part of the thing to me, is not just that people are eating them, but they're treated so inhumanely.
Absolutely.
That's the worst part.
Yes.
I have a lot more respect for people who make sure that they get they know the farm, they're buying organic, they know the farmer. You know, people are going to eat meat. Everyone's not going to give it up. Maybe someday we'll be forced on the planet, but factory farming is the crime of all the century, really.
Yeah, I think that movement is just as beautiful as the raw food movement. Are all of these people that are trying to rewild themselves, and if they do eat an animal, they make sure that it's either very humanely raised and fed properly, that it has a respectful death. They, pray to the animal and thank it. They're kind of going back to those old indigenous ways. And I think that that's honorable as well, is just being conscious of what you're doing. Right. If you're going to be eating an animal, be aware of what you're doing, I
think there's all levels. I would like to see nobody killing animals, but I understand that's not going to happen. I have a lot of friends who eat meat. I'm not judgmental about any lifestyle anyone else has, but I think the main thing is to educate yourself. Mm-hmm. Like how does cheese come about? Mm-hmm. What happens with this milk? How come these dairy farmers or these dairy cows are giving 40% more milk than they used to? Hormones.
No, I just saw that they die often. Their typical life expectancy is 4 years.
Well, they keep them
and they're supposed to live 20 years.
Well, this is what they keep them impregnated all the time. Mm-hmm. So they impregnate them so they can lactate, and then they take the babies away. The males are made into veal, put in those horrible little cages that they can't move, they can't sit, they can't do anything. They keep them anemic. And then they don't get any of their mother's milk. And this is in most factory farming. I'm not sure practices on private farms what they do, but they do keep their milk cows. That milk is for cheese and for milk, so they have to keep lactating them. Once they stop, they dry up, they impregnate them again. And when they can't be impregnated anymore, they're finished. They're hamburger. That's what happens to them. I don't want to be, for me, I don't want to be part of that kind of thing. I don't need to be part of that kind of thing for me personally.
It's your love of animals that prompted you to go vegetarian and then vegan.
Yes. And and it would be like me being pregnant and,
somebody hooking you up to some metal sucking tubes.
and then milking me, for my whole lifetime, that would be
and keeping you in a little cage and giving you some...
But I'm always amazed that people have dogs and have house pets and then they don't equate the same thing in a farm animal or any other living animal, like pigs, for instance. They're like dogs, by the way. They're very smart. Mm-hmm. You could train a pig. Yeah, and this family I used to work for had a little pig who used to come into my office every day, and they squeal and make noise, but they're like a little dog. They listen to you.
Yes.
And then, and I just, that's an animal I couldn't eat because of that, but I don't want to eat any animal. I've been friends with a cow before,
Yeah, this reminds me of something I wanted to ask you. Live Raw is not your first book. You had a book called Cowboy Spirit.
Cowboy Spirit.
Which totally... To me, the first thing I think of is cows, barbecue, ranching. Can you tell me a little bit about that book and what that was?
I was living in Taos, New Mexico. That's where I became friends with my first cow, by the way. That was a friendly cow. Come see me every day when I go out in my yard, live next door. And I was in Taos, and that was the spirit of women who were so independent at the time. And I don't know, a board game came into my mind for independent women called Cowgirls Ride the Trail of Truth. And I invented this board game. It's been on the market since 1998. Sells very well. Wow. And I actually sold my company a couple of years ago, but I just took it back this last May because the woman that bought it got sick and couldn't run it. And it's not like I wanted to run it. I'm so busy, but I did take it back because I couldn't let the company go. So I have a whole line of cowgirl products. And this is about spirited, independent women who stick up for what they believe. They tell the truth. They're confident. They're independent. They're spunky. All the qualities.
I need to get that book. Is that on Amazon?
You can find a used copy on Amazon. Yeah, Cowgirl Spirit. It has stories of women of the past and women of today who are spunky. And the board game has 1,200 questions in there that you play kind of a margarita night out with your gal pals, and you're answering questions about your own life. Now, all the time I have this book, I'm a vegetarian. And I'm going to the Western shows and all the trade shows. When I go to the Western shows, it's rodeo time. there, and it's all the barbecue, like you say, and beef eating people, and they're all inviting me out to do slaughtering of their cattle out on the range in South Dakota.
I was
And
wondering about that. I'm like, how do these two things come together?
that just shows you to fit into any world and be okay with it, even though it's not my style. I take people for who they are as individuals. I met some very nice people. I really have met very nice people. I know very nice people who think absolutely opposite than me. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what, you can't cut people off your whole life because they have a different thought, pattern.
Well, there is a kind of religious, dogmatic fervor behind not just the raw food world, but just people arguing online, especially on YouTube, about, the paleo people versus the raw people. And I just think wow, I mean, people get so fired up about this.
Fired up. And every time anything's posted, someone posted a picture of me with another woman who supposedly was my age, but I don't know if she is. I couldn't believe it. It went all over the place, and people kept reposting it. It was saying, this woman's 73 and look how she looks, and this woman's 73, how she looks, and this woman's a vegetarian and this woman isn't. And it's like, oh God, don't put me up next to anybody.
Oh, wow.
And put me up to who followed the paleo diet. And then of course there were hundreds and hundreds of people commenting on it. And a lot of the meat eaters get really antsy about this, and then the vegans are fighting. It's so silly. It means nothing. Just live your life.
Yeah.
It's like, let people do whatever they do, and it doesn't affect you personally. Just, you don't need to do that. So this cowgirl thing, which I love because I have the cowgirl spirit, it's how you feel when you put on a pair of boots. You feel a little sassy, right?
Yeah.
And that's what this whole line that I have. And I have spa products and some jewelry and mugs and flower kitchen towels and all kinds of products. I have actually, my website's cowgirlsgame.com, and you can see some of the products there.
Oh,
so
nice.
I started that in 1998, and I wrote the book Cowgirl Spirit. Someone came to me and actually asked me to write the book. I was very lucky because it's never easy finding a publisher. And I put the book together very quickly. I interviewed women of today who I thought had the cowgirl spirit. A woman who was a pilot, and just all kinds of really interesting women. And then women of the past. I told little stories about women of the past.
Well,
so
your next book has to be Raw Cowgirl.
I can't see that selling, to tell you the truth.
I can. You could do raw barbecue. You could incorporate the spirit of being a cowgirl with, this kind of free-spirited way of being a raw vegan.
Well, everything I do right, I think, shows a free spirit, and I think that that's really important for women as we age. I feel I could do anything at this age. I have no limits. I can do anything I want. I see a future could be very exciting because I'm open to whatever comes my way. This book thing happened. Nothing I ever expected to be doing in my 70s is writing a book. I thought I'd be retiring and kicking back and just traveling. We do travel a lot. My boyfriend and I travel a lot, but I don't know what's next. My kids are always asking me, okay, what's next? Well, I don't know. Whatever comes my way. It's carpe diem for me. Something comes in front of me. If I feel passionate about it, I'll do it. That's how
really
I live.
Served you well. It seems like getting voted the sexiest vegetarian over 50 just kind of launched you into this whole thing, and you just went with the flow, and it's worked out beautifully.
It is great. And I think one of the main things, I think, is if you are healthy, you can do anything.
Yeah. I'm losing. Oh, there you are. Am I losing you?
I don't know.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
A little feedback. If you're healthy, you feel good every day. You wake up, life is the same as it was in your 30s. It doesn't seem any different to me than way back, my 20s or 30s or 40s, whatever. Yeah. But if you don't feel good, guess what? You're spending all your time trying to get healthy. You go to your doctor too many times a week, right? Yeah. You
deal with disease.
Can't do anything. There was a couple. My boyfriend and I were in. I think we were in Marseille or something, somewhere in France. We were taking a little tour boat over somewhere, and there was an elderly couple behind us. I thought elderly. They were from England, and we started a conversation. And after a while, they said, "Well, we won't be traveling anymore. This is our last trip." And I said, "Why is that?" And they said, "We're 60." And I was already 70. So
I hope you told them that.
What? Not going to travel anymore. They said, "No, it's too difficult. We're 60. And I said, "I'm 70. And they went, "What? What? What?" And I said, I hope to travel many, many years. And I see a lot of people who are older traveling. They have a very difficult time. They can't really walk very far. They can't see everything. I'm trying to get it all in as fast as I can and keep myself healthy so I can enjoy life. I will pay more to buy organic food if I need to. I'll do whatever I need to do where I think and not eat chemicals on food that's inorganic and take care of myself, because I think in the long run, it's definitely showed me I can be healthier than people my age.
Yeah, and people want to say, well, it's too expensive or time-consuming. What is more expensive or time-consuming? Being in and out of the hospital all the time, shaving 10 years off your life, spending money on surgeries and medications, or buying organic produce.
Yeah, and it's not about living long, it's about living well. And that's what we... Now, food is number one to me, and exercise would be the second thing. I'm not big at it. I do it. I walk. I try to walk an hour almost every day if I can. I miss maybe a couple days a week if I've got too much scheduling going on. I try to stretch and do a little yoga. I run up and down my stairs. I garden. So I'm very active. I don't think people have to join a gym or do too much. I think you have to do moderate exercise at least. If you love it and you want to spend an hour running or 2 hours out, fantastic. But if don't stop yourself. Walk 10 minutes out and 10 minutes back. You know, whatever you can do.
I also, before I let you go, I want to mention your videos, because that's how I originally found you. And, you know, you're often in the kitchen, but you'll go out into your garden too. And you keep a very nice garden, so I'm sure that helps keep you in shape. And the videos are fantastic, so I encourage everyone to go check those out if they're curious and want to see more Mimi Kirk.
YouTube, just do Mimi Kirk on YouTube. I was doing them every week, but now I've had to spread them out a little bit. But there's some very nice recipes I think that people could follow, and I show very easy ones, so it makes it available for people. So
your Thanksgiving holiday one was really great.
That's good. Yeah,
I love that. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Mimi. I think people are really going to get a lot out of this, and I hope that they will go get your cookbook and start your uncookbook.
Great. And my website's youngonrawfood.com. I don't know if you're going to post that or not. But I post all the products I use on my site. It's an Amazon shop, so it's not like I'm selling stuff. It goes through Amazon. But if you want to see the products I use, including my coconut oil or my shampoo or whatever, you could go on my website and look. And that's why I posted it, so people can see the products that I personally use and the equipment I use for my raw food too. So
fabulous. I will definitely link to that and your YouTube channel for sure.
Yeah, great.
Okay,
great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Much love. Peace.
Yeah, bye.